And church, that lets us know, no matter how you cover up, the Father still knows your voice. You might trick, cheat, and connive, but at the end of the day, the Father still knows your voice. Which encourages us when you need something from God. God knows your voice. You say, Father, I stretch my hands to thee. No other help I know. If thou withdraw thyself from thee, whither shall I go? The Father understands his voice. Church, not only that, but lastly, he does what he does, not just because of poor parenting. He does what he does, not to just to see what he can get away with. But church, lastly, he does what he does so that he may position himself to be blessed. Church, he does what he does so he can position himself in order to be blessed. Which means in order for Jacob to be blessed, there were certain stipulations. The stipulation was this: go out in the field, kill the animal, prepare the meal, and serve me. And then I'll bless you. The thing that I love about Jacob is that Jacob followed through and executed. Church, and the issue is, what we do when we want to get a blessing, we halfway step. Because so many of us, if we were Jacob, what Jacob could have done, he could have killed the animal, prepared the meal, gave it to his mama Rebecca, and then she serves him. No. But what Jacob does, he kills the animal, prepares the meal, and then serves the meal to his father. And so a lot of us, we can take note of that because so many of us are insecure trying to figure out what the meal is. We're trying to figure out how fancy we can decorate what it is we're about to eat. And when you're so concerned about presentation and not position, you'll always miss your blessing. And so what he does, he positions himself, and he gets to the point where he says, what I'm going to do, I'm not going to just make the meal. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to position myself. And notice this, when he positioned himself, he served him the plate. And then the father ate the meal and then blessed him. Church, I'm done. The blessed part about this is that it lets me know that even when my integrity is in stake, God looks beyond my faults and he still blesses me. Even though I have poor decision making, he looks beyond my idiosyncrasies. I might be feeble, fragile, fickle, and fair, but God, he says this: I'm going to look beyond what you've done. No matter how deceptive you are, you have to understand that I will still bless you because I love you. And is there anybody here, you know you don't deserve God's blessings? You know you don't deserve anything that he's done for you. Let's go. You don't deserve anything that God made a way for you, but in spite of, you still serve the Father. And when you serve the Father, he'll bless you. Touch your neighbor and say, neighbor, it pays to serve the Father. That was the wrong neighbor. Turn to your neighbor and say, neighbor, it pays to serve the Father. And is there anybody here that knows that God will bless you in spite of you? God will make a way in spite of you. I want you to high five your neighbor and say, neighbor, he still blesses me. He still blesses me. Is there anybody here? Is there anybody here that can thank God? Because at the end of the day, even in the midst of my dysfunctional family, God still, he still blesses me. Is there anybody in here? Is there anybody that knows God will still bless you. You know you don't deserve his blessings. You know he doesn't deserve the money. You know you don't deserve the car you got. You know you don't deserve the job you have. But he looked beyond your mess and he still blessed you. And he blesses us even right now. When God sent his son Jesus one Friday, yeah, on a hill called Calvary, they marched my Jesus up Golgotha's hill. They placed 72 thorns around his head. They drove nails in his hand. They drove nails in his feet, and they pierced him in the side, and he died. Anybody know he died? Hallelujah. But watch this, y'all. That's not how the story ends. They pull him down, put him in a borrowed tomb. He stays in the grave all night. Friday night, yes he did. He stayed in the grave all day. Saturday, he stays in the grave all night. Saturday night. But here comes the good part. Here comes the punchline. It was bright early. I said it was bright early. It was early. It was early. It was early. He got up with all power in his hands. And because he got up, that means you can get up too. Anybody know he got up? Open your mouth and say yeah. Say yeah. Say yeah. Say yeah. Yeah. I gotta leave y'all now, but I got one question I gotta ask you. I gotta go now, y'all, but I got one question I gotta ask you. All I need to know is there anybody here that knows that God is making a way out of no way? Is there anybody here that knows that God is bringing you through? I need to know. I don't mean to bother you, but I need to know, is there anybody here? Say yeah! Say yeah! 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 Woo! There's a blessing even in a dysfunctional family. He's blessing us over and over. And you know you don't deserve it, but he blesses you in spite of you. Is there anybody that's excited to know that he blesses me in spite of me? He blesses me in spite of me. Look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, he blesses me in spite of me. He blesses me over and over and over and over and over and over. He's blessing. He's blessing. He blesses. He blesses in spite of me. And so, you're not the first dysfunctional family. No, seriously. I want you to know that you're not the only dysfunctional family. Jesus himself had a messed up family. Because you want to know who he's connected to? He's connected to Abraham. And Abraham is the father of Isaac. And Isaac is the father of Jacob that started all of this mess, and it's connected to Jesus. You weren't the only one that had deception in your family. But the ironic thing is, no matter how dysfunctional Jesus' family was, he still wants you to be a part of it. And so this is a good exit to open up the doors of the church.